Okay, so let's look at how we can attach this Kevlar line onto the streamer. And again, I'm not using a toothpick on this because we don't need a lot of strength because this is not being used to create drag. But we do have to worry about the problem with zippering, namely this will either tear through the tape or just it'll slide right through and just pull itself back out. So let's take a look at the dimensions that we have to work with. This tape, if we use this in terms of millimeters because it's small, it's about 12 millimeters. So a piece that's 10 millimeters should fit very easily in here with a little bit of play. And what I want to do is to put about a ½ inch on this side, wrap around the end, and a ½ inch on the other side. So I have a piece of tape, and this is a very heavy-duty tape. Heavy-duty box tape. Works perfect for this application. It's one of the few things that really sticks onto these streamer materials. I'm not really sure why, but the gum on this stuff is extremely sticky. But also, once it's stuck, it's almost impossible to remove. So it's extremely strong. It's a very simple solution, but it's extremely strong and reliable. So what I did was take a piece of that tape, just laid it on my pad here. I measured this out for 1 inch, then just a dotted line for a ½ inch to show where the fold is going to be. And each of these two pieces now is 10 millimeters. We'll just go ahead and cut those out. And I like to cut through the black lines. That gives me a black line on the edge. And since it was 12 millimeters and we're using only 10, it gives us a little bit of play along the edges. Okay, so we have our two pieces here. And I'm going to just lift one of these. Notice I pulled it fast. And the reason I pulled it fast is that if you pull a piece of tape out very slowly, it tends to stretch it. And when you stretch it, it tends to make it curl. So I just grabbed it and did a quick yank, and that prevented the tape from getting all curled. Okay, so now we want to attach the line onto this streamer. And what I want to do actually is to put a knot in this, about a ½ inch down. So let's go ahead and make a knot. And we can just estimate this to be about a ½ inch. Right about, that's about 1 inch, it's about 3/4. So right about, let me make it smaller. Okay, so right about there, it's a little bit more than a ½ inch, but that's good. So the idea is that this will be on the edge of the tape and it'd be a little bit more difficult to pull the knot through. I find this works out pretty well. So what I want to do is to take the tape and the two dots, line those up on the cord, and just press this very lightly. So now I have the Kevlar cord stuck to the tape at the midpoint with the knot right at the top. And we now want to stick this down onto the streamer. Now this may look easy, but it turns out sometimes it's hard because static electricity will make the streamer and the tape stick together and they'll just jump together. What then happens, they'll jump and shift around and then they get stuck in the wrong place. So what I like to do is I just like putting the ruler on here to give it a little bit of weight so that it'll tend to make it stay in place. Okay, so let's just go ahead and stick this down. And that black line along the top makes it really easy to line this up. And there we go. This is lined up on this side. And we want to take this off and fold this over. And again, the black lines are very handy because it allows us to keep that along within the edges of the streamer material. And we just squeeze that. Now it's very important that once this is folded over is to rub this really hard with a smooth surface such as a marker. Again, it's one of these things, it's like, I don't know why it works, but it does. If you rub this down extremely hard like this, it's like the glue in the tape almost like dissolves into the streamer or something happens. That now this is almost impossible to pull apart. And that's what I like. I like something that really sticks and it just won't come apart. So you can see now this is pretty well attached already. The only issue would be at this corner right here where all the stress is. We're going to have a lot of force on that and it could zipper and slice right through this up here. We're not as much worried now about the streamer sliding or have the Kevlar pulling out of the streamer because the knot is on here. So what I like to do is I like to fold this piece over, and I'm just going to use this other piece to wrap around. It's going to do two things. It's going to give us a double layer of tape, and it's going to hold the knot on the top. So let's go ahead and do that. I like to stick this down to the hobby knife, makes it a little bit easier to position it. Trying to hold on to something like this with my fingers is not so easy to do. So again, just hold this other part of the line. Again, at this point it's about a 1/2 inch long. And it's easy just to hold this and then stick it down. So we stick it down on this side. See, this is off by just a little bit, but that's okay. That's why we allowed this to be 10 millimeters rather than 12. So this is off just a tiny bit, a fraction of a millimeter. So we have to be careful in wrapping it around that we don't have the tape go over the edge. By the way, if your tape goes over the edge, you can use the scissors and slice that off very, very carefully. You have to be careful because if the tape goes over the edge, you'll roll up your streamer, but it won't unwind. That's going to be enough to hold your streamer in place, and it's just not going to unwind in flight. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is just fold over the rest of this. So I've got the remaining part of the Kevlar cord. Fold it over here, and now just fold this over. Again, using the lines to help us line this up. And there we go. Now that's stuck down extremely well. So again, use a marker or something like this to rub it down. And now we're all set. This now has a double layer of tape, which it makes it really strong actually. I'm surprised how strong it makes it. We pull on this, I don't have any zippering. We see that the cord is up a little bit because the cord has about 1 millimeter at the bottom where the tape is spaced. But this doesn't pull off, and it's not going to pull through because the knot will hold it up here with the other double layer of tape. Okay, so that's all I want to show for attaching this, and the rest of the streamer work is the same as the other videos. And I use what I call center winding. It's a technique that, at least I think I invented. I've not seen it ever discussed or talked about anywhere, where I take the streamer and I fold it over. And then I wind from the fold forward so that at the end are the two ends of the streamer. If you wind a streamer like this, it doesn't get curled up, it doesn't distort. You can wind it up, put it in your rocket, and leave it there for a month, and it will still open. So you don't have any problems with the material getting fatigued. It's a very, very nice way to wind a streamer. And all I'm going to do is, off camera, I'm just going to simply wind it up. What I'm going to do is, again, the other videos cover this in detail. I'm going to go to the end of the streamer. I'm going to fold it over until it's right about here. I'm going to go to the fold point and wind it backwards, and this will wind the streamer up. This should be about 3/4 of the diameter of the rocket tube, and it should fit in there very nicely. So let me go ahead and do that off camera.